We had mass shootings in Philadelphia and Chattanooga, among other places, over the weekend. And a lot of NBA players and coaches wore in gun violence shirts. Here's what I would say in general. Why can't we try to end violence? And if that is the goal, it's an important conversation to have. Mass shootings, if we eliminated every single mass shooting in this country, which I would love to do, we would still have 99% of the murders occurring. So mass shootings are awful. They get a lot of attention. But even if we were able to wave a magic wand and end mass shootings in this country, we'd still have 99% of the violence occurring. So if athletes really want to have an honest conversation about violence in this country, I'd love to have that conversation. And in particular, I think it should involve two things that we need to do. One, we need to actually allow the police to do their jobs. Because if you go look right now, starting in 2020 with the George Floyd protests, the minute that those protests started, police got demonized and violent crime skyrocketed all over this country. It's not a coincidence to me that as soon as police got demonized and weren't able to do their job, and a lot of them decided to go ahead and retire as they were getting attacked, that the murder rates skyrocketed all over this country. And the group, by the way, that's bearing the biggest brunt of that murder increase is inner city residents who are overwhelmingly Black and Hispanic. So those are the biggest losers in terms of lives being lost as a result of the massive increase in murder and violent crime over the last 2 years. Remember, 2020, murder went up 30%, nearly 29%, I believe. The largest single year increase in murder on recorded history comparing 2020 with 2019. Things have since gotten worse in 2021, and it appears they've gotten still more worse in 2022. So number one, we need to stop demonizing police. I wish athletes would join me in doing that. And we need to call for more police in order to help combat rising levels of crime in our cities. Number two, we've got to start putting criminals behind bars. Okay? When you want to argue that the mass incarceration state is unacceptable, that's an argument that is a luxury of a low crime era. I'm old enough to have lived through high crime eras and eras when we have totally attacked crime. In the early 90s, coming off the late 80s, there was a belief that crime was going to continue to skyrocket it and go through the roof in terms of its overall impact. And then what do? We put more police on the streets and we put more criminals behind bars. It's not rocket science. The two ways that we put people back safe on the streets all over this country, more police and allow them to do their job, and we need district attorneys who are actually going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law and put the bad guys behind bars. If we do both of those things, and by the way, this is something that white, Black, Asian, and Hispanic people all overwhelmingly agree, then we know the overall violent crime rate in this country is going to come down. That's the two things we need to do. More cops able to do their jobs, and two, put people behind bars who are committing acts of violence. We have to stop demonizing police, and we have to stop this soft on crime era. If we do those two things, the data has overwhelmingly shown us going back in the 1990s exactly what will happen, which is crime will fall. Not complicated. Bigger picture. We need to have a national conversation. I would love for athletes to be a part of this too. We need to have a national conversation about the role of dads in society. Overwhelmingly, the kids who are committing acts of violence, first of all, they're all men, right? Young men. They're all masculine. I know you're not supposed to be able to tell the difference in genders all of a sudden, but they're overwhelmingly male, and they are overwhelmingly coming from homes without father figures inside. We don't know why this is exactly, because girls seem to grow up better in single-parent households than boys do, but boys are overwhelmingly failing in this country. Women are graduating from college at high rates. They are going on to get graduate degrees. I think 60% of all college graduates now are women. Only 40% are men, and those numbers are falling rapidly. And the number of violent crime that can be traced in some way to no fathers present in the household is massive. And by the way, athletes know this. Many athletes grew up as part of single-parent households. What's one of the first things most athletes do when they become parents is most of them want to be very involved in their kids' lives because they understand that's the best way to help ensure that their kids grow up as productive members of society. We need more of them speaking out. We need more people speaking out in athletics if they truly want to end violence against the demonization of police, in favor of violent criminals being put behind bars, and to speak out about the importance of fatherhood. All of those things would be massively important to helping to deal with the staggering increase that we're seeing in violent crime right now.